Hello, apologies. So the first part was cut off because I'm doing it live. I thought it would just let me continue to record. It hasn't. So if you're coming from part one, I hope you did your 10 breaths in your own time. And then we're going to come out of this pose. If you haven't watched part one, you can go back or you can just start afresh here. So we're just going to go into some more yin poses. So if you are in the coming from cow face, do the same, coming out of the pose, uncrossing the legs. If you're lying on your back, just unravel and then do a little hip rotation again. So little movements through the hips. If you're just starting, you can just come and do this as well with us. And then from here, rotate the other way. Fantastic. Okay, so I have to remember to keep my timing so YouTube doesn't cut me off. And let's move all the props away. And let's come from here into a gentle frog or tadpole. So you're going to open the knees to the side. Maybe you would like to place something under the knees. The toes can be together at the back and then sink the hips back. Now, if you want it a little bit more intense, use your blankets or pillows. I've got two blue pillows here, and then I'm placing my knees on it. And hands in front of you, slide your knees out to a place where you start to feel it in your inner groin. Now, the idea is that you keep your knees slightly in front of your hips. So you don't want to bring the hips too far forward. So you have like a compression in the lower back. You want to keep the hips back and then slide the knees out to the side. If it's okay for your knees, you can even try to bring the shins parallel to the sides of your mat and then flex maybe even the toes. So this will intensify this feeling in the groin. Groin is what I'm looking for. Now, if you have some pillows, you might like to place them underneath your chest so that you can lay there and relax your head. If you have a bolster, even better, but I'm not going to get my bolsters over there. And now, this is a little bit of a tense feeling. Think of tilting your pelvis in a posterior and anterior way. So like arching your back and then tucking it again. A little bit of a weird movement, but you will really feel this in the groin. So just do a little tiny movement. It doesn't have to be very big. So arching your back, feeling that intensity in the inner thighs, and then tucking your tailbone and feeling the different sensation. And very slowly again, small movement, arching your back and again tucking. And let's do a few more. Feel into that sensation, arching and tucking. And again, arching and tucking. Woo. All right, and now let's come to a resting position. I'm going to bring my blocks underneath my chest and let your head hang and stay where it feels comfortable-ish for you. So because it's quite an intense pose, remember to stay just within the range of where it feels all right. And then allow the body weight to sink down. Try to avoid coming forward with your chest. So you need a bit of support under your chest. Use some pillows, roll them up. Maybe pause the video if you feel you need a little bit more time to set this up. And if anything feels uncomfortable, like your knees on the floor, your ankles on the floor, make sure you have padding. Because to get into the sensation and to get into the mind, we need to be comfortable and steady. Then we can release, then we can find the equilibrium of the pose, of this feeling and sensation. Then we can let the breath flow freely. So working here into the meridian lines of the urinary bladder and the kidneys. So wonderful for releasing any toxin, so replenishing the fluids in our body. For eliminating and freeing any waste that we don't need in ourselves, either physically or also mentally. Which is why sometimes we get a bit emotional when we're in these hip positions. Just a few more breaths, 10 more breaths here. All right, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, you can sigh it out. And then take your time to come out of this pose. So hands maybe under the shoulders. Start by maybe if you have the legs out to the side or the toes flexed, the feet flexed, bring them back in and then push the floor a little bit away so you can just draw one knee at a time a little bit closer to you and then sit back on your heels if you're not already there and then draw the knees back in. And if you like, you can come to child's pose or you can come to a downward dog. So a little bit of movement in between again, if that feels all right for you. If you need to take a rest, take a little rest and walk out through the heels. Wonderful. And then from here, let's come to one or two more poses. See when YouTube cuts me off. Bring your knees forward to the floor. Good. And then bring your knees quite close together and bring your feet out to the side. Let's come to hero's pose. So walking your hands back, and you're going to have some props ready, so maybe some pillows in between your legs. And then see if you can take your thumbs and place them inside of your calves and move the flesh of your calves out to the side to see if you can sit right between your heels. If this is agony for your knees, don't go there. Just place something between the floor and your hips, and then maybe place your hands here and see if this already gives you a little stretch here on the sides. So that's where our target area is, at the front of the thighs. It's also a slight inward rotation for your hips. And then if you're comfortable where you are, you can just stay here. If you're feeling that you can go a little further, maybe you can bring the hands behind you and slightly tuck the tailbone, slightly tuck, and then lift the chest up. So see if this feels okay for you. If you're still comfortable, you can see if you can come onto your elbows. Go very slowly. Again, this is not a competition of how far you can go. It's really about how do I feel here? Is this something I can hold for a little while without sort of putting pressure on myself? And then full pose would be lying all the way back and maybe even reaching the arms over the head. Now, don't compare yourself to this. I'm doing this like quite a lot, so eventually everything sort of opens up. You have to decide for yourself which is the right position. So it might be halfway or just seated. And then closing your eyes so you are in the body again. Let's take a few breaths here to settle and then begin again to relax further and further into the body. There shouldn't be any sensations of pain. There might be sensations of intensity. But if you notice your jaw clenching or you're like, oh, ah, ooh, then you're not really practicing the yin. You're just trying maybe to prove something to someone who isn't watching. So always ask, what is my intention here? What is the aim of what I'm doing? And we can ask that with most of the things that we're doing when it's not quite clear and it doesn't feel quite right. So settle in. Let this become even more yin to yourself. How can you make it even more yin-like, even more relaxing, even more softening, but still there can be sensations. Ten more breaths. And the last deep breath here, settling, softening. And you can sigh it out if you like. Now, if you were all the way down, I always find this a bit awkward to get out of. So arms down and then place your hands onto your feet. Bend your elbows slightly and push your elbows into the floor. So you can draw your chin to the chest and then wriggle your elbows underneath you. Push into one foot, bring the hand on the floor, and then push into the other foot, bring your hand on the floor. That's sort of the best way I find to come out. And then if you're already seated here, you can bring your weight forwards, lift your hips up, and then from here, just stretch your leg out and maybe come back into a gentle downward dog. Just lost my foot. Pressing the heels down. Just feel how the hips feel. Give them a little wriggle, or you can just be on your hands and knees and do this. Rotation in the hips. And then from here, bring your knees back down. And we're just going to come to slightly active swan. Bring the right knee forwards. Again, you can do this on your back if you prefer, lying on your back, crossing your right ankle over your left knee. Then bring the foot over to the left side. Slide your left leg back. Support your body with the hands on the floor. Tuck the left toes under. And you can place something underneath the hips again, onto the right buttock. And then just lengthen through the left leg if that's available, maybe even pressing a little bit into the right foot or right shin. What's that? That's sort of the outside edge of your shin or lower leg. And just take a little lift through the heart. So it's a little back bend as well. If it's too high, just bring the hands further forward. Take a breath here. Squeeze down. We're going to hold it for the count of 10. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. Open the heart. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then release and just take a gentle fold forward. We're just staying here for 5 breaths. Just breathing here, softening. And then coming back up, pressing the floor away. And let's come to the other side. Tuck the left toes under, draw the left knee forward. If you're lying on your back, cross the left ankle over your right knee and draw it to your chest. Left knee otherwise to left ankle. Move the left foot to the right side of the mat. Tuck the right toes behind you. Stretch out through the right leg. Hand on the floor in front of you. And then lift the back knee so you feel the stretch of the front of the thigh. And lift the heart, press down into your left leg. Hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Come down onto the floor. Relax, 5 breaths only. And then coming back up slowly when you're ready. Come back into tucking the back toes. If you're lying on your back, roll yourself up or roll yourself over to the side, just seated, and then maybe join a little downward dog. It's a little activity here. Stretch out the legs. And then come forward again when you're ready, knees down. And come back to sitting on your buttocks and then bringing your legs out in front of you. And then just do this little motion again. Just notice how it feels now. And then stay on one side. Bring the hand again on the top hip. And just see if there's any difference now, if it feels a bit more freer. It might be just very subtle. And then again, folding over your front leg. So I have a lot more space now here. Feels quite nice. I'm like, oh. And then let's come to the other side. Rolling over. And again, just check this side. Again, I feel I can get my top hook much further down through these little exercises that we've done, this little release. And again, see if you can fold forward and over the top leg. And that feels really soft on this side for me now. Good. And now let's come back to a seated position. And I hope I'm not getting cut off. How much time have I got? Oh, I might. So I'm going to close. I'm never going to do this again. I'm just going to pre-record it. And you can again come to lying down if you like and take as much time as you need to take a little rest. Maybe set yourself a timer, maybe 5 minutes or so, just to soften. Or you can just come with me and just seated. And before this get cut off, I want to thank you for joining my session today. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please comment or find me on social media, Fleur Yoga and Pilates on Facebook or Fleur on Instagram. And I've also got another channel with more videos, Fleur Yoga and Pilates on YouTube. So it would be lovely if you could subscribe and see some more videos there. So let's sit nice and tall. Feel how much more space there is in your seat, how much more connection you can breathe into that. And then take your hands to your heart center. Lift your heart to your hands. Take a moment to feel that peace and patience inside of you that you demonstrated today. And take a deep breath in and sigh it out. I thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you. Namaste.